Don't look at my list, okay? Cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater. Hello everyone, welcome back to Foster the Meeple, a channel all about
board games.
And
more board games.
Exactly. We are here today again with you to do a top 50
Of all time.
Of all time. Every of the time, we've played every board game there's ever been, and so we feel perfectly equipped to do this.
How many games do we have to rank, Jamie?
So my ranking list was 742 different games ranked.
720.
That's how many board games we've played. We haven't quite cracked 1,000. In a previous video, I made a claim that we have played thousands of different games.
We've played thousands of games, but not quite 1,000 different games.
Thousands of plays, exactly. Yeah. Now, there are a couple of games that accidentally got left off of this list because we only started tracking our plays in 2021. So some things that we would have played prior to 2021 may not have made it just because we totally forgot that we played them.
They wouldn't have impacted the top 50 though.
Exactly, and they most likely wouldn't have impacted our top 50. But we did rank everything. So if you are curious about anything beyond our top 50, we will be sharing a little bit more with our Patreon community. So if you're part of our Patreon community, you just have to hold your horses because you might get to see a little bit extra from our list of 700 plus ranked games.
And if you're not, but you're curious,
feel free to join
our Patreon.
Another way you can support us is through our Discord community.
Absolutely.
Feel free to join that. So
normal disclaimers. Let's get them out here.
Let's get out the disclaimers.
Our list. If you don't like it, move along.
Tough.
If you are like, why don't they like my favorite games?
We just don't.
We don't have to like everything you like.
We don't like
and
what
if you really want to share your favorite games, instead of crapping on ours, you can go do that.
And another thing that I would just like to say is Jeff and I rank with our hearts and not with our brains sometimes.
We should, okay, yeah. We should maybe quickly just mention how we rank. You go ahead.
So, yeah, I rank based on just, it's like pure emotion. I rank based on how much fun I've had playing a game, based on like the experiences I've had with the people. I'm not necessarily saying that my top games are the objectively best games ever made, but they are the best games for me.
Yeah,
and so I rank based on fun. And my list, and I assume Jeff's list, they're extremely fluid. And so something could be number 4 one year and then 70 the next year and then back to 3 the next year. And it often depends on what we played this year because it's obviously going to influence how we feel about a game.
When you play as many games as we do in a year, which is literally hundreds,
1,000,
there is going to be fluidity in these lists. And there's nothing we can do about it. You will see some consistencies. But anyway, the way I rank is kind of twofold, similar to Jamie. Did I have a good experience playing that game? Do I continue to have good experiences playing that game? When I'm doing these rankings, when I'm looking at 2 different games, my thought process is, if I had the ideal player count with the ideal people, which game would I prefer to play in that instance? And that's normally how I'll make that decision.
Now, for the first time ever this year, we are introducing a little bit of a timer, stealing this idea from our friends over at All You Can Board. Go check them out. And our friends Board Game Barrage podcast. Go check them out. But just to make sure that we are not just going on and on and on, we will set a minute timer, and that is what we...
I don't think I'll even need a minute for a lot of these.
No,
but
but just in case. And that minute will be dedicated to the person talking. So, like, as an example, if it's my 50, I'll get the minute, and then Jeff can comment after, because, you know, we got to have a little bit of fun with it. So let's just dive in. We are going to be doing our top 50 over a series of videos. This is 50 to 41. And of course, we're going to start with some honorable mentions.
Got to be done.
Because it's just got to be done. So we each have 3. These 3 honorable mentions will be our 51, 52, and 53, respectively.
Correct. Before we begin, we also, too, quickly want to give a quick shout out to our channel sponsors, Rathskellers, who have supplied us with some awesome stuff, and we very much appreciate them.
Yes.
So let's get into it.
Yes. So Jeff is going to start off with his just boom, 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 honorable mentions?
Sure. This was so incredibly difficult.
Yeah, there's so many games. It took us literally 6 hours.
We did this together, separately, of course, but in the same room. And after we were done, the games that were outside of my top 50, I was like in shock of.
And we're like,
but then I would look at my top 50 and I'm like, oh, yeah, I can't move any of these. I think it just goes to show how many good freaking games are out there.
We just love games.
My number 53 is At the Gates of Loyang, which I think is like my least favorite of those types of Uves, which you'll see in the future. Number 52 is Cosmic Frog, which I can see eventually breaking my top 50 when I play it more. And my number 51 is Empires of the North, which actually I'm surprised wasn't in my top 50, but again, is another one that I was like, could it sneak in? But I was looking at everything and I was like, I can't, there's nothing I will displace with it, but it's right on the cusp.
So you'll probably notice from some of our reactions, we don't know each other's top 50s.
We do not.
Yeah. Okay, my number 53 is Red Cathedral from De Vere. I have so enjoyed that game every time we've played it, but for some reason, it's just not the De Vere game that has broken the top 50. If we play it more, I could see it happening. My number 52 is The Road to Canterbury, which is just, the theme is alone is just nonsense that I love, and the artwork and everything. It's super fun. And my number 51 is Numpsters, which is one that I was totally shocked didn't make my 50 because I freaking love that game. But putting up some of those small button-shy games that I love so dearly against some of those bigger games, it's just really, really tough.
Agreed.
And so it didn't quite make it. Okay, so we are going to start with our number 50, Jeffrey Giver.
My number 50 is one that, again, I think would probably increase if I got a chance to play more, but Jamie does not like this game at all. And that is Baseball Highlights 2045. Baseball Highlights 2045 is a deck builder game where you are basically drafting and building a baseball team, and you're playing baseball. One person is going to be playing as the pitcher, one person is going to be playing as the batting team, and you're going to switch back and forth. So you can recruit new players. There's this theme where some players are humans, some are cyborgs, some are a combination of the two. It's a really, really great game. The one drawback to this game is that the base running is not super intuitive, wherein that's where Jamie struggles with this game. I think it helps if you know baseball. But again, this one's one of my favorites. There's not a ton of awesome sports games that are out there in the board game realm, but this one I think fills that void.
Yeah, it's not that I don't like this game. It's just that it confuses the heck out of my brain. I don't understand the base running, but that being said, I would really like to play it again.
Yeah.
Maybe even we could play that today.
I would love to play it today.
Would you? Okay,
yes.
It's New Year's Eve, so we are just getting after it tonight.
Let's do it.
You know,
let's go get some snacks
That's
and play some games.
Jeff and I get after it.
Let's go get some snacks and play some games.
Exactly. Man. Okay, so my
you know
number. What?
Maybe I'll even have a Red Bull. Crazy.
You might not sleep until 11 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I was surprised at how late you were up.
I was up to like 1:20.
I know, it was crazy. Okay, my number 50 was my number one new 2023 release of the year, and it snuck onto this list, and that is Hooky.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am going to do the Limp Bizkit thing.
It's not.
I did it all for the Hooky. The what? The Hooky. You can't not. Hooky is a deduction game where you are trying to determine what 3 children of the 26 in the class are playing hooky. And every child is a letter of the alphabet, and every person around the table has a hand of 5 children cards. So you are trying to deduce which 3 letters are playing hooky by also trying to deduce what letters everybody else around the table has. And then there's also a playground in the middle. You're doing that by asking people 5-letter words. So I might say, Jeff, stare. And he might be like, 3, and that means that 3 of the letters from the word stare are in his hand. So it's starting to help me deduce what he has in his hand. So by process of elimination, I'm trying to figure out which kids are playing hooky. I love this game. It is so brain burny, brain melty. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you love puzzles and Sudokus or whatever, you're probably going to love it.
I'm actually somewhat surprised it's not higher on your list.
Yeah, me too.
But I feel like if, again, playing more will probably increase it. Hooky's a great game. It's a great game. It is, if you like that word deduction, word puzzly stuff, Look no further.
The way it tickles every crevice of my brain folds.
That was going to do it. My number 49 is the first in what's likely going to be many of this genre of game, and that is A Distant Plane.
Not surprised.
So A Distant Plane is another game that likely will skyrocket up this list the more I play it. Unfortunately, this is a difficult one to table. A Distant Plane is a coin game that is based in the Afghanistan region. It's based around the war on Afghanistan. And so if you don't know what coin means counterinsurgent. So it is a war game. In Distant Plane, you're either playing as the U.S., who are kind of supporting things in the region through influence and that sort of thing. You're also can play as the locals. Basically, there's 4 factions, and you're competing for control of these areas. Distant Plane is one that I haven't actually been able to play a full game of, but I'm hoping to this year. My dedication is to play more war games, and I think Distant Plane will continue to rise.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it while we were playing it, and the reason why we weren't able to finish it is just because we were so busy, and we couldn't dedicate enough time to it, and it was going to take us literally months to finish. We were
playing asynchronously.
Yeah, and it just wasn't enjoyable, I guess, for everyone, because it was just like, what was I going to do? Because it would just take too long.
Yeah, the math worked out to actually it taking months to finish the game. Yeah. Because it is a long game. It's a long game with a lot of cards that you have to get through. But I'm looking forward to potentially playing it this year and seeing how I feel.
Yeah. My number 49 is Honey Buzz. Now, Honey Buzz is a bee worker placement game where the bees are business bees. I don't know if you heard about business bees, but they're out there making honey to sell honey. You can't make money unless you sell honey. You know what I'm saying? And so you're basically placing out your worker bees in order to do different actions, making different, not necessarily honey, but different types of Nectar, thank you. I'm like, what do they make? It's nectar, and they're these little squishy ball things. And then you can make baby bees. And it's just very, very cute, and it's super enjoyable. I love the production, and I feel like it's one that we've played wrong a couple times, and since we started playing it right, I like it way more. I'd like to get it to the table again. I don't know, I really like it. It's so adorable, and I can't wait for the Fall Flavors expansion because I'm here for it. I love Honey Buzz. I always have, and maybe I always will. Yeah,
Honey Buzz is a great game. Those little bits are phenomenal.
Elf Creek, man, the production is just...
Is a really good way to apply that theme to worker placement. I really enjoy that game.
Business bees.
My number 48 is a new to me game this year, and I've played the absolute hell out of this. It's the first lighter card game on my top 50, and that is Sea Salt and Paper.
Oh, I was expecting this to be way higher.
Yeah, again, one that I looked at and was like, but I think it's where it should be. Sea Salt and Paper is a very intuitive set collection game that's got some really nice mechanisms around it. So in Sea Salt and Paper, you're going to, as mentioned, be collecting different sets of card types. It's got this beautiful origami sea life art. The thing that I think is the most interesting is there's multiple ways this game can go at the end of each round. So you can either, once you get to 7 points, you can tell everyone to stop right away, and everyone counts their points as they have them in their hand and in their tableau. You can continue to go and push those points as far until someone else tells people to stop. Or you can say push your luck, I guess, or last chance, which is the push your luck element. And it's basically saying, I know I have more points than you. Here they are. If you can beat me, I will not score many points. But if I am right, you will not score many points. And it's kind of this race to 30 points, depending on player count. It goes up and down. Sea Salt and Paper, I just adore it every time it gets to the table.
It's freaking amazing. I don't even know. Did it make my list? It didn't. Crazy. I don't know where it fell, but I'm sure that it wasn't too far behind. We just play this game all the time.
We do.
It's like tried, tested, and true.
It is.
Like that commercial about trucks.
Forward.
Tried, tested, and true. My number 48 is Orleans, which I assume is higher for Jeff.
It was almost
in your top 10.
No, almost a perfect crossover.
Shoot! Okay, well, I'll talk about it quick and then Jeff can kind of fill in the gaps whenever it comes up for him. But Orleans is a bag builder game, and we heard about this game so many times. It's kind of like a classic game, but our friends over at the Brothers Mirth love it. Mm-hmm. And it's a bag building game. It's set in kind of medieval times, and you are essentially going to different areas to collect tokens to put in your bag, which are your workers, which you're going to be assigning to different regions and different towns. And each town lets you guessed it, get another worker, do another thing. This game is extremely combo-y. It's kind of almost like, it almost has a feel of a roll and write in the way that it has those combos, and there's so much that you can do, so much so that it's one of those games where you can't do everything. As I was learning this game, this has only happened to me a handful of times, but as I was learning this game, I looked at Jeff and I said, I love this game. I already know I'll love this game. And we played it and I was not disappointed.
Yeah, well, instead of responding to that, I'll just say my number 47 favorite game of all time is Orleans.
Yeah.
It is new to us, very new to us.
Very new to us.
But I had a similar feeling after we had played it. I was like, this game is incredible. I understand why everyone talks about it. I'm not one that loves a ton of combo-iness, and I think it can go too far down that realm. Sure. Orleans hits the sweet spot of combo. Does. So as Jamie mentioned, you're recruiting workers out of your bag, or putting them in your bag to then use them on future turns. What I think I really enjoyed is like, you can't really waste workers in this.
Yeah.
There is a whole separate board, a shared board, that if you do feel like you need to thin your bag out, you can start putting workers in the shared board that earns victory points if you complete it. But you don't want to go too far on the board, because if you put too many of the workers out without completing one of the sections, your opponent can then be like, oh, you put those 4 out? Well, I have the last 2. I'll finish this and score the bonus. There's just limited interaction, but enough interaction to keep it somewhat spicy. But yeah, Orleans is fantastic.
Listen.
It's going to only increase.
It's a beige boy, but he cute. My number 47, I almost guarantee, is going to be much higher on Jeff's list, and that is Tapestry, a Stonemaier game. So Tapestry is one of those games that so many people poo-poo on. And I'm like, don't poo-poo on Tapestry. It's freaking good. We started playing it again this year, and it had been a while since we played it, and I just kind of fell in love with it again because we got the expansion. So it's a Stonemaier game where you are, is it area control? It's kind of, there's different tracks.
There's a bit of a...
There's a bunch of mechanics in this game, but there's different tracks that you can go up, and this is another game where you're like, I can't do everything, so maybe this game I'm going to focus on these 2 tracks. There is some combo-iness, but you're collecting resources in order to do things, in order to put things out on the board. So much that you could do. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, that's Tapestry for me. And Jeff's going to probably say way more about it later.
I will talk about Tapestry in the future, but yeah, I think a lot of the reason why people poo-poo on Tapestry are 2 reasons. One, it was labeled, I think, as a Civ game when it first came out. It's not really a Civ game, which again is a stupid reason to poo-poo on it. It's a great game. And 2, there is some unbalanced factions, but again, like, just remove those if you have a problem with them. There is, I believe, some new content coming out to fix the balance issues. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be talking about Tapestry in the future.
I'll be talking about that a little later.
My number 46 is my first train game.
Whoop whoop.
And that's Irish Gauge. Irish Gauge is the first of the what's it called? Rails.
Rails and Trails.
There's a series. Yeah, there's a series of games, and there's Irish Gauge, Iberian Gauge. I can't remember. It's from Capstone Games. You are basically trying to put out train routes, and you're trying to control those routes. It's a very lighter fare kind of, what's the train theme?
Route building?
No, like...
18XX.
Like 18XX, yeah. Where you have stocks in different train types, different train organizations, whatever they're called, and you're just building out those routes and trying to score as many points as you can. I am interested in playing the others in the series to see how they all compare. But Irish Gauge, I think, is I think for most people, their favorite of the series.
I think so.
But
it's the only one that we've played.
Looking forward to getting back to it and experiencing it more.
Mm-hmm. My number 46 is a Devere game, which I once again assume is probably higher up on Jeff's list, and that is Three Ring Circus. So this one, I do think the more we play it, the higher up it would get on my list, and I would like to put it back on the table again. But this is an area control tableau building game that's themed around the circus, hence the name, Three Ring Circus. So you are kind of competing against Barnum. I never remember his name. Barnum?
Correct.
Okay, he's the
Barnum Circus.
The Barnum Circus. He's, not a great guy in history. However, this game is super fun. And so basically you are going around with your circus trying to perform in different towns and cities to control different areas to be like, we are the best circus in town. You want to come see us, and you're doing that by playing out different cards on a tableau of different acts and performers. And there's a lot going on, but not so much that it's hard to keep track of everything. Yeah. And it does area control really well at 2 players. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, just like I do every single Devere game ever.
Again, probably one you'll hear more of from me in the future.
One can only assume.
My number 44 might be one of the biggest drops from my list, and that is Lord of the Rings, Journeys in Middle-earth.
Oh, let's see. It was 31 last year.
Okay, not too bad. These campaign games are going to continue to drop for me, unfortunately. This one is sticking around based off of some nostalgia and the theme. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. It's my favorite IP. Journeys in Middle-earth would go back up if it was something we ever could get to the table. We struggle to table campaign games.
We struggle.
And depending on... But that's not the game's fault. So I need to be careful that I'm not blaming the game for our inabilities to table them. Journeys in Middle-earth is a campaign-based game set in the world of Lord of the Rings. You are playing out cards which allow you to take actions. You're exploring these regions, you're exploring these objectives and fighting baddies and trying to go from scenario to complete this campaign. Again, depending on how this year goes in 2024, we'll see where this lands. There are a few other campaign games on my list, spoilers, that haven't been as impacted, but Lord of the Rings is one I really, really want to play again.
Yeah, I think the reason why that one and another one that I'm not going to mention, but I know is probably up higher on your list, is just like it's set up, it's time, it's commitment that we don't make time for. I don't even want to say that we don't have time for. We just don't make time for it because we're so like, oh, let's play this game, let's do this one.
They're hanging on. There's a few of these hanging on based off of
on by a thread.
The understanding that I know if we played through them, I would absolutely love them. I just know that about myself, and I know that about these games in the limited amount I've played them.
So instead what we do is we play a couple scenarios and we put it away forever. My number 45, once again, is going to be higher up on Jeff's list, I know for sure, and that is Memoir 44.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Memoir 44 is a war-style game, and in the mechanisms and the structure of this game are part of kind of like a series in Commanding Colors is the first of that, and then there's like Battle Lore and Battle of Westeros, and essentially the board is broken up into different regions. In Memoir 44, it's 3 regions. And you are commanding your troops and trying to achieve an objective that's set out based on the scenario. And so all of the scenarios are set up a little bit differently. And you play out cards to command certain troops to do certain things. And then there's dice rolling for the battles, which makes it really simple. Like this is, in my opinion, like this and Undaunted, these are the 2 war games to get yourself started with because they're relatively simple and super fun. And I like Memoir 44 way more than I thought that I would, just based on the way that it looks. I'm like, little green army men, but I really like it a lot. And I know Jeff freaking lurbs it.
Yeah, it's very luck based. It's very dice driven. So, take that for what it is, but I would say it's a really good intro into war-themed board game. My number 44 is another, I can't remember if it's new to me this year or maybe end of last year. I've only played this online. I do own the physical copy. Don't know if I'll ever get a chance to play the physical copy, but that is Space Empires 4X from GMT. This is GMT's 4X space game. I've only played this, as mentioned, on BGA with Max over at Table Knots, and I have played a game with 2 members of our Discord. This is a 4X game, so you are exploring, exploiting, attacking, doing all these things in space. You are going to start on a specific planet. You're going to have basically resource points that you can apply to do things each round. You can apply to build new ships. If you have the right infrastructure out, you can spend it to increase movement points. You can increase attack points, all of these things. It's my first real foray into space 4X game, and I absolutely freaking love it. It's got a ton to it. It's somewhat complicated. I've never read the rulebook. I learned this game by playing, and I'm sure I'm missing a ton about it, and I think it'll probably only increase, but looking forward to playing more Space Empires.
Yeah, I don't think that's a game for me.
No.
I haven't played it. I'm not opposed to playing it someday.
We'll see.
We'll see. I guess we'll see. Okay, my number 44 is Age of Comics, The Golden Years from Lirius Games. Now, this is a game that Jeff and I we had the privilege of getting an early copy of, and we did a preview video on it, and we played it, and it was immediately like, I love this game. It has very much so like Kanban type vibes, and we use Kanban as a reference when we are talking about games that just make sense. Like the things that you do just make sense. And so in this game, you are running a comic book operation, organization, whatever, and you are competing against each other. So you are creating different styles of comic books. You are maybe creating some knockoffs. You have to get your salespeople to go around this map to sell your comic books. You have to print them. You have to do all of these things. So it's worker placement, and there's different areas of the board that do different things, but you're working at a comic book company, creating comic books, and I love it. I think the theme is great. I think the mechanics work great. The game is awesome. We just got our final copy, and we also gave one away to our Patreon community, so I'm excited for the person that is getting it so they can enjoy it as well. But yeah, I freaking love this game. Want to get it back to the table.
Not in my top 50, but I agree with everything you said. It's a great game. Also, Memoir 44 is not even close, which I think is fair.
Oh, I thought you meant not in your top 50.
It's not. No, it's not.
It's not in your top 50.
It's not. I think it's way down, which I think is fair. Like when I look, I'm like, yeah, that's fair. There's so many good war games.
I know, it's just shocking, Jeff.
My number 43 favorite board game of all time is Castles of Burgundy.
Speak.
Castles of Burgundy is, I think, as pure and perfect a game design as you can get. In Castles of Burgundy, you're going to be rolling dice, and those dice are going to allow you to do certain things. So you have these hexagonal slots in your duchy, and you're going to be drafting tiles from a shared board, depending on what dice pip is showing. You have certain dice pips that are on your board. There's some asymmetry that can exist there. So let's say you have a 6. You can only place the colored tile of that slot in the 6th space, so maybe you can only place a yellow tile there. All the tiles score differently. It's a race for the most victory points. There's some combo-iness to it. There's some meanness to it with the drafting element. Castles of Burgundy is incredible, and I do think the deluxified version of Castles of Burgundy is very well done, and one I want to play more and more, but primarily play online. I love Castles of Burgundy, but there's just better games out there, in my opinion.
I disagree. So that's obviously going to be way higher on my list, so I'm not even going to say anything about it. But to be fair, last year it was your 38. So it's really, I remember last year being annoyed just the same. Just the same. Okay, my number 43 is a new to us game for this year that was up pretty high on my 10 list from 2023, and that is the Oracle of Delphi. So the Oracle of Delphi is one of those games that the first time I looked at it, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. And then our friends Monique and Naveen over from Before You Play, they played the heck out of this game at Dice Tower West one year, and they were like, this Oracle of Delphi. I'm like, what are they talking about? Like, what is this game? Anyways, basically in this game, you have different dice that have different symbols on them that you are kind of rolling out and putting into this little oracle. Into the oracle. And you are going to be trying to complete different tasks for Zeus. So demanding, that guy. And they could be different things, like maybe you have to pick up and deliver something. Maybe you have to defeat a certain beast. Maybe you have to do different things, but you are racing to complete these tasks. There is a little bit of player interaction in it, in that you can kind of steal something from where somebody else want it to go. But I don't know. I just played this game and I freaking loved every second of it. And then we immediately played it again. And
we've introduced it a few times.
And I see what they're talking about now. It's fantastic.
Pick up and deliver, man.
Yeah. Zeus,
so
man.
Yep.
I love that guy.
My number 42 is another card game that I think probably is going to float around in this space and might compete with Seesaw and Paper moving forward. That is Scout. Scout is a small box oink card game where you are trying to what's the pasted on theme, like it's trapeze
circus performers.
Yeah, but like you're trying to like recruit them.
Yeah, you're trying to recruit
circus performers, and there's this unique card play where you are only allowed to play out pairs or sets of one number or runs of one number, and there's a varying degree of
like trump, basically.
Yeah, trump suits or what's more powerful than others. And you're basically trying to get rid of cards in your hand quicker than everyone else, because cards are negative points. And you're trying to collect the sets from the middle, because those are going to be your points at the end of the game. So the more, if the round goes around and someone can't defeat what's in the middle, you're actually going to get those cards and put them in your score pile, and then there's some end-of-round scoring. Cards can only be manipulated at the very beginning of the round, so you can't make sets and runs. You can flip them up and side down and turn them around, but you can't change the order of them. So it's a really unique way to get rid of cards, to make sets in your hand so that you can score bigger points at the end of the round.
Scout was my number 11 last year and has completely fallen off my top 50.
Doesn't surprise me.
Scout was so popular when it first came out, and don't get me wrong, I freaking love this game, but because of a little game called Nana this year, Scout took a back seat to Nana.
The competition, that's why I was saying, like, I feel like it's going to float around here, and Seesaw and Paper might.
Nana didn't even make my list. Neither did Seesaw and Paper.
That's really weird to me.
What's wrong with me?
There's some really card games are really tough to compete with for me right now. I love small box card games, just like Jamie does. So you gotta be great.
That's why I'm shocked though, because like I love small box card games too, and I think there's only one on my list.
Your list is your list, yeah.
My list is my list. What can I say? This is my freaking opinion. Number 42 for me is a game that has been growing. The love inside of me for it has been growing because we have been playing it like the Grinch. Exactly. Because we've been playing it more and more recently, and that is Brian Boru, which I don't know, I'm assuming is higher up on Jeff's list, but Brian Boru is an area control trick-taking game where you are playing out cards to win a trick in order to control an area. And the really interesting thing about that is sometimes you obviously don't want to win the trick because you're going to get rewards on a card that you play because you are fighting on all of these different areas of the board. There's a battle area that you want to win. There's a church area that's going to give you monasteries, which are going to give you more points for your area control. There's a marriage track, because marriage is important in this game in High England, Ireland. Exactly. Anyways, I just find this game to be so unique. Another one that shocked the hell out of me when we first played it, and we have played it twice again recently, and I love it. This game is never not good to me.
Brian Boru also, I think, is one that's really, really good to intro to people.
It is.
I think it's got a nice little like medium-ish, light medium-ish weight to it. It's not complicated, but it's got enough little strategy in it to keep people interested. Yeah.
The only problem is that it is a 3-player minimum. So it does make it a little bit harder to get to the table.
Last one for me on this set is number 41, and Jamie has already talked about this game, and that is from De Vere and his 3-Ring Circus.
I thought it would be higher.
3-Ring Circus is everything Jamie mentioned. It's a really, really great 2-player area control game. It can be played at higher player counts, but what I mean by that is there's not a lot. I love area control, and there's not a lot of good area control games that work at 2-player. normally you're just off doing your own thing, you don't interact. Three-Ring Circus shrinks the map down and forces interaction. And it's got a really nice little tableau builder off to the side where you're recruiting different types of circus performers, depending on what cities are looking for those types of performers. There's cities, there's towns. So the bigger cities want bigger performances. They want better performers at those shows. And again, the Barnum Circus is going around kind of acting like a timer. There's this bit of this rondelle movement thing associated with it. Three-Ring Circus is one that's going to continue to increase for me the more we play it. Absolutely love it. DeVere knocking it out of the park this year.
Totally. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say because I already talked about it. It's freaking great. And if you haven't tried it, I think you should, because I do think it got shadowed by all the other releases. Yeah. And it's a crying shame is what it is. Yep. Okay, my number 41, last of the list, is the only roll and write on my list, and that is Three Sisters. I love this game. So Three Sisters is from Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, the duo that do like Fleet the Dice Game, Three Sisters, Motor City, etc. They have more. Like, they have like all of these amazing roll and write games. This one is my favorite one that we've played so far. It's based off of like Three Sisters is like a farming thing in the history. I don't know the history of it. Anyways, it is a roll and write game that is extremely combo-y, and it plays very well solo. And so I tend to play this one solo a bit more because I think it burns Jeff's brain just a little bit too much. But basically, you are growing out your garden. You've got a whole section where you can like go and upgrade your equipment and your shed, and then there's a market, and there's all of these different things, and you are just trying to get as many combos as possible. And the timer is Edith, and she is just this mean old lady gardener who she ain't got time for none of your nonsense. I was trying to remember the name.
I was Edith. Like, it's not, what's her name from Kanban?
Sandra. No.
Edith.
I love Three Sisters. I really do. There's something special about that.
I will play Three Sisters anytime anyone wants to, but Jamie's right. There's just, my issue with Three Sisters is that I don't remember everything. So especially when you get those round combos where it's like you can do this thing at any point in the future. I'll just forget to do that, and then at the end I'm like, oh, I had all of these other things I could have done and I didn't do it because I forgot I could do it.
Yeah.
Like, I miss the combos on stuff when it gets too complex past like 3 or 4 layers. I'm like, I'm out. But it is a great game. It's a great game if you like that stuff, for sure.
Whereas for me, it just sings. I'm like, now I'm doing this, and I got to do this, and now I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. It's like a little dance you got going on, you know? Yeah. Anyways, that is the first segment of our top 50 games of all time, 50 to 41. Did it? I think we did pretty good with that timer.
We're going to have a bit of a gap until the next one.
Yes.
Just FYI, it's going to be a few weeks.
So stay tuned. So the plan is to put all of these videos out in January, but we have some commitments coming up over the next like week and a half. And so just stay tuned. Just know that they will come. But we wanted to give you a little something.
A little teaser.
A little taste.
Yeah, you got to be patient.
See what it tastes like. Taste of the glory.
You got to taste of the glory.
See what it tastes like. Anyways, that is everything that we have for today. Now, if you're interested in board games like any of the many that we mentioned today, you should first start by checking your friendly local gaming store. And for us, that is
the Boardroom Game Cafe.
Yes, it is. Do you like snacks?
I do.
Perfect. Where do people find snacks?
Munch Pack.
That's right. And if you like board game tables, check out Rathskellers.
Absolutely. They are incredible.
They are incredible. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see,
please subscribe.
We hope to see you again soon. And now we say goodbye. Goodbye.
Better days.
Get yours up close to your mouth. So I got to put mine up close to my mouth. Closer to my mouth. How do we look in the camera?
Great, Jamie.
Are we doing
dynamite?
We're doing dynamite? Dynamite. I'm trying to do something weird over there. Okay. Oopsies. Oopsies again. Isn't Ford? He ain't heavy. He's my brother.
What?
Do you remember?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, what is that smoke?
Oh, he's got a fire going.
Okay. Holy.
We thought our neighbor's house was on fire, but
holy smokes, man! Literally.
He's just burning stuff. You know how people be on New Year's. They get crazy with it. I would just
cut that out, Jamie.
I'll just cut that out.
Cut that out in editing.
Cut it out. Remember that? In Full House? Mm-hmm.